What if the most powerful thing you can say is nothing? Not silence that withdraws, but silence that invites. The kind of quiet that makes other people's real thoughts show up. This book argues that listening is not a passive trait. It's an active craft. Done well, it lowers defenses, surfaces truth, and turns scattered conversations into decisions that stick. When you learn to listen on purpose, you stop pushing every river. You guide the current that's already there. The shift begins with presence. Most of us appear to listen while we secretly plan our turn. Real presence feels different. Your breathing slows, your shoulders loosen, your eyes settle instead of darting. You're not drafting a rebuttal. You're noticing words, tone, pace, where the story tightens, where it opens. You let the first wave of emotion pass without trying to fix it. That pause is not empty. It's the soil where clarity grows. People don't open up because you talk beautifully. They open up because your silence is safe. The book lays out 3 levels of listening. Internal listening filters everything through your own opinions and plans, useful for checking your motives, but dangerous if it dominates. Focused listening turns down your ego and puts full attention on the speaker's words and feelings. Global listening widens the lens. You sense the room, energy, timing, what is said and what is missing. Master listeners spend most of their time at focused and global, dipping into internal only to stay honest. From presence, you move to the listening loop. Receive, reflect, clarify, advance. Receive means you let their words land. No interruptions, no premature solutions. Reflect means you mirror back the gist in your own language so the speaker hears their thoughts organized and respected. Clarify means you ask one clean question that sharpens the picture. Advance means you suggest a small next step that fits their world, not yours. That 4-step loop builds trust fast because it proves you're here to understand, not to win. Empathy is the backbone, and the book defines it carefully. Empathy is not agreement. You can validate a feeling without endorsing a conclusion. When you say it makes sense you'd feel overlooked after that meeting, you're not choosing sides. You're naming reality. Naming feelings calms the nervous system, which reopens the thinking brain. Keep labels short and light. Sounds like you're frustrated. Seems like the timing felt unfair. Feels like you want a clearer plan before committing. Short, kind, curious. Great questions do 2 jobs. They pull richer information and they lower defensiveness. Swap interrogation for exploration. Instead of "why did you do that?" try "what led you there?" or "what were you optimizing for at the time?" Aim at outcomes. How would we know this is working by Friday? What would make this feel fair to you? Where is the risk hiding that we haven't named? Questions that start with how, what, where, and when open doors. Why can work only when trust and tone are warm. Listening is physical as much as mental. Align your body like an open parenthesis. Angle slightly. Hands relaxed, chin level. Speak a half beat slower than your nerves want. That tempo signals safety. Use back-channel cues that say "I'm with you" without stealing airtime. A soft millimeter. A nod. A quick that makes sense when they pause. If you need to slow the conversation, do it with kindness. "Give me a second. I want to make sure I'm catching this." Or can I try to summarize the last part to see if I've got it? Summarizing is leverage, so it gets a full treatment. A fair, crisp summary makes people feel understood and surfaces disagreements early. Use short, shorter, shortest. First, mirror a few sentences that capture facts and feelings. Then, condense to one line that holds the essence. Finally, check your accuracy. What did I miss or get wrong? When they correct you, they correct toward truth. Either you nailed it or you just got a better map. Listening first doesn't mean you abandon your point of view. It means you earn the right to share it. Sequence matters. Seek to understand, then be understood. Once the mirror is accurate, your perspective lands softer and hits smarter because it's tailored to what matters to them. You're not dumping information, you're placing a single brick on a foundation you built together. Conflict has a dignity protocol. Describe behavior without guessing motives. State the impact on you or the work. Ask for one clear change. When the other person fires back, cycle the loop again. Receive, reflect, clarify, advance. Don't wrestle over the first draft of a sentence. Rebuild it together. Try this. I think we're arguing about a sentence neither of us actually wants. What are we trying to protect here? That question shifts the fight from positions to values, and values are easier to align. Negotiation gets easier when you listen for constraints. Instead of pushing harder, design questions that create movement. What would have to be true for that timeline to work? What's the smallest version we could agree to today that still protects your non-negotiables? If you must say no, pair it with a doorway. No to this method. Yes to the outcome by testing a smaller step. Boundaries with options feel like partnership, not punishment. The book explores high-stakes listening at home. Listening doesn't mean surrender. It means you slow the fire long enough to see what you're actually burning. When tempers rise, use a reset line. I care about you and want to get this right. I need 10 minutes to cool down so I can listen better. Then actually return. Reliability is the most romantic language. With kids, trade lectures for curiosity. What happened? What were you hoping would happen? What could we try next time? You're training a mind to think, not a soldier to obey. Leadership turns talk less, understand more into better meetings and faster decisions. Start with intent in one sentence and end with who does what by when. During the meeting, harvest dissent on purpose. We'll collect 3 risks before we finalize the plan. If people are quiet, pair them for 2 minutes and then share. Small rooms grow voices. When you decide, summarize the why, not just the what, so people who weren't there can follow the logic, not only the order. Digital life needs its own listening rules. In text and email, tone gets lost, so over-index on clarity and kindness. Keep paragraphs short. 1 point per paragraph. 1 ask per message. Mirror back action items and dates. If a thread heats up, lift it to voice for 5 minutes. 1 minute of human tone can fix an hour of misread text. After the call, send a 2-line recap so the record matches reality. Cognitive traps block understanding, so the author hands you antidotes. Confirmation bias makes you hear only what fits your story. Cure it by steelmanning, stating their best case better than they did, then answering that. The fundamental attribution error makes you blame character for what was really context. Cure it with what constraints were you under. The illusion of transparency makes you think your tone is obvious when it isn't. Cure it by stating intent out loud. My goal here is to help us decide, not to win the debate. Power dynamics and culture matter. Some people learned that speaking up is risky. Others learned that silence equals weakness. As a listener, notice the system you're in and create safety within it. Invite quieter voices first. Share airtime deliberately. Declare how decisions will be made before the debate begins. Are we informing, seeking input, or deciding? Hidden rules create loud resentment. The book offers pocket phrases that save tough moments. To buy time, let me think out loud for a second. To diffuse heat, sounds like we set an expectation we didn't meet. To own your part, I pushed too hard there. I'm dialing it back. To receive feedback, thanks for telling me. Here's the one thing I'm taking forward. Small sentences move heavy moments. Practice makes permanent, so you get drills you can do anywhere. The elevator drill. In 10 seconds, mirror one thing you heard and ask one open question. The dinner table drill. Each person shares a high and a low while others listen without fixing. The meeting drill. Speak once in the first 5 minutes with a single clear line that moves the goal forward, then spend 15 mining for unknowns. The tough talk drill. Write your opener, your summary line, and your respectful ask on a card. When heat rises, read the card. Don't improvise. Notes become a listening superpower. Keep a simple map for each project or relationship with 3 columns: what I heard, what it means, what I'll do. Review before every conversation so you start where they are, not where your to-do list left you. End your day by writing tomorrow's first small step. A day that ends with a next first line begins with momentum instead of dread. Time management improves when you stop filling every minute with speech. Use power silence blocks. 10 minutes of quiet before a big meeting to write the questions you hope someone will ask. 5 minutes after to capture decisions and doubts. Those small buffers recover hours because you caught the logic while it was warm. Self-listening is the well you draw from. Sit with a hard feeling long enough to find the sentence under it. I'm not angry. I'm scared my work won't matter. I'm not bored. I'm overwhelmed and need a smaller first step. When you can name your state, you stop dumping it on others disguised as advice. Your calm becomes contagious. Stories bring the lessons to life. A product manager who derailed meetings with long explanations tried a 2-line rule: the point, then the ask. With space left, colleagues surfaced risks earlier and arguments shrank. A nurse who felt invisible during handoffs started summarizing the patient's story in under a minute with 1 risk and 1 request. Errors dropped and respect rose. A parent replaced lectures with questions and pauses. Their teenager started sharing because home finally felt like a place where emotions could land without trial. To make it stick, the book lays out a 30-day plan and a 90-day expansion. For 30 days, track 3 signals daily. 1 moment you chose silence over a reflex answer, 1 summary that earned a yes, that's right, and 1 question that opened something new. At day 30, read your log. Patterns appear you can't see in the moment. Over the next 90 days, pick 1 arena: coaching, selling, negotiating, leading, and run weekly experiments. Record, review. Refine brains change by repetition, not revelation. By the end, the message is simple. Talking is not the enemy. Unskillful talking is. When you talk less and understand more, your words carry the weight of someone who earns every syllable. You don't flood the room. You feed it. You don't overpower emotions. You contain them. You don't win arguments. You dissolve them into decisions. Take 1 slow breath. Choose a real conversation in the next 24 hours. Enter with a small plan. Receive fully. Reflect the gist in 1 sentence. Ask 1 open question. Advance with 1 tiny next step. Afterward, write 2 lines about what you learned and how you'll do it again tomorrow. Repeat that loop a handful of times this week. Watch arguments soften, meetings shorten, and relationships deepen. You'll notice you have more energy because you're not pushing every river. You're guiding the current that's already there. And you'll discover something rare. Real listening doesn't make you quiet. It makes you powerful.